Well, today's episode, I'm going to make up what I couldn't do this past Saturday. As you know, I mentioned in an early video what happened to me, but let's do that. So, we're going to be reviewing, I believe, the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA, with The World is a Vampire tour, which they did certain events. Their stop is in Mexico City with AAA. Much of the shows were in the daytime. And of course, we move on with AEW Rampage. We're going to review what took place from there on. And after that, we're going to do the two back-to-back shows by New Japan Pro Wrestling. As we know, we continue with the starting stages of the Best of the Super Juniors. We're going to see who is currently up ahead, who most likely could be the most candidate to reach to the finals. And then we ended with our final review with ChocoPro 311, which is going to be very interesting to review about. And then, of course, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, before I start reviewing, I want to say to everybody, I hope I did not, those who did not watch a small bit of announcement that I posted on Sunday, saying that I was unable to review for Saturday. The reason is, I'm gonna say it again, I ended up going to the emergency care. I was feeling abdominal pain. Was too much to handle. I couldn't do anything, so I try to take it easy for the entire day, and then of course I was able to make up on a Sunday. So that's what this video is. This is the Sunday episode that I'm releasing for Monday. I'm doing way more better. I'm still not at the woods yet. Nothing serious, guys. What's been going on with me? But right now, gonna take care of everything else, because I always say health is the top priority when things like this happen. But right now, since I'm calm and easy, nothing's too serious, I'm willing to do this right now. So let's get started with our first review, which is NWA. Okay, NWA. This one is part of the World is a Vampire tour. Now, you may have heard that phrase before from the Smashing Pumpkins, but this is the tour that Billy Corgan did. They traveled certain parts of the world. Right now, this is the one where they went to Mexico. Now, they were already recorded, and then later we had, of course, Joe Galli and Tim Storm actually do the commentary later. So let's talk about the matches they presented. First match is a tag team. We have Homicide teaming with Zion to take on Commander and Octagon Jr. Now, this is a very interesting matchup. Now, however, like, you may think that Zion, oh, he's just a white guy wearing a. People knows that he can respect the way of the mask, because some people don't understand where the whole thing wearing mask wrestling comes from. It was down in Mexico, because I grew up watching Lucha Libre as a kid. But it was a pretty good match. I have to say that many people probably would have think, okay, the Commander and Octagon will win this one, because this is home field advantage for them, because this is in their turf. And normally this would be exactly that. It was Commander who picked up, no, my bad, it was Octagon Jr. who picked up the win when he applied the 450 splash onto Zion, giving them win, giving Team Mexico 1 point. NWA 0. Now, our next match is a very interesting one. Is a mixed tag match. We have Um, Aaron Stevens, not a surprise, and teaming with Natalia Morkova, they take on La Hydra and Ares. So I think this was a pretty interesting matchup to watch because Aaron Stevens, who has this cocky attitude and all this other stuff, and of course, once again, I say this before, this is home field advantage for La Hydra and Ares. This played out pretty good well because it was Ares that picked up the win with a bridge suplex onto Aaron Stevens, giving the lead 2-0 against the NWA. Now our third match, this one is a title match between both, a title match for the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship. We have Sal the Pal taking place, representing Mexico, but this one is a very interesting dynamic. They chosen Jack Cartwheel, who has made appearances down in Mexico before. Everybody knows who he is, and of course Kerry Morton. Don't forget that. So there is a lot of, some people would say, why would they chose Jack Cartwheel? Well, he wrestled in Mexico before, so that makes it a home field advantage for him since people like him down there. I mean, because he is an incredible wrestler to watch. So you probably would think there'll be some moments. I mean, Sal the Pal, he sometimes is crazy. He's like the entire time. He's like, this guy doesn't seem like he wants to win or not. He just does whatever. But luckily, it didn't end that way. It didn't go that way because it was, of course, Kerry Morton with the showstopper onto Jack Cartwheel that allowed him to win. And of course, that gives NWA 1 point right there for them. Now, our main event is a very interesting one. We have Trevor Murdoch taking on the resident clown of AAA, Psycho Clown. So you probably think this is not going to be one of those typical matches. It's going to be all brawl, beat the crap out of each other type of match. You know that's what's going to be, and that's exactly how it ended because they use all sorts of toys outside, but it was Psycho Clown that put Trevor Murdoch through the door when they threw a wood plate or whatever it was when he speared him through, and 1, 2, 3, Mexico wins this one. So it was a great thing for them. So I'm sure we will see more of the World of Vampire Tour on a Saturdays, but we will continue on with more on the NWA Power this coming Tuesday. So I think that's pretty much it with this. Let's move on with AEW Rampage. All right, AEW Rampage. Started out with trios actions. We have Daddy Az, Billy Gunn teaming up with the Acclaimed. They take on Kip Sabian, the Butcher, and the Blade. So that kind of sets it out. But you know how Butcher and the Blade are not going to take any lightly crap from the Acclaim. But luckily, it didn't go exactly according to plan. Of course, the Acclaim, who are the fan favorites in this match, was going to end up winning. So it was, of course, they tried to scissor Jimmy Timber, but the final blow was the mic drop by Max Caster onto Kip Sabian and picking up the win for his team. Now, we do see a little thing with QT Marshall going out with, once again, saying this stuff about Wembley Stadium, but apparently Harley Cameron says that she's Australian and she has sort of insights about if you're not even from the UK. They're like, okay. But apparently seems Hobbs has some plans. Now, we know that Hobbs has not been happy with the results of losing the TNT title to Wardlow, but however, he seems like there's still more to become on the book of Hobbs. So we just don't know yet, but I do believe we will see more of that at some point. Now, our next match, we have Toni Storm along with members of the Outcast, Ruby and Saraya. They take on Allison Kay. You may know Allison Kay, who was the NWA Women's Champion. She showed up in many promotions. So this was a very hard hitting, but of course, the X factor in this match is, of course, the Outcast tried to interfere in many ways possible. But unfortunately, that this one ended with, of course, not only getting the hip attack by Toni Storm, but also Storm Zero giving her the win for this one. And then, of course, post match, once again with the loser, on the abdomen of Allison Kay. Now, we do see a little thing going on. As you know, we haven't seen the Ass Boys recently since they lost the tag titles to FTR. So it seems like they're still gunning for those titles and they're demanding a rematch because they talk about certain wrestlers getting that. But however, it appears that Ethan Page has something, so a business proposition for them. So we just don't know what it was. Now, our next match, we have Kyle Fletcher versus Action Andretti. Now, keep in mind, Kyle Fletcher is going to face Orange Cassidy for the AEW International title. Now, some of you may think there is no way Fletcher could win this title, but Orange Cassidy has been a defending champion, so I have to say this is going to be good to watch. But there was a lot of spots in this particular match. Andretti fight back, so did Kyle Fletcher, but it was a spike of tombstone by Kyle Fletcher that allowed him to win the match. And of course, he sent a message to Orange Cassidy telling him that that title is coming home with him to the United Empire. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, at the result of what happened at the firm's deletion, Tony Schiavone interviews Matt and Jeff Hardy along with Isaiah, telling them how great it is that now that their the private party and Matt Hardy's contracts with the firm is deleted. And, however, this is where it gets a little interesting. Jeff Hardy says he's happy to be back, and not to mention, he said that he and his brother are finally can focus the one thing they are planning to do, their final run as a tag team, but the only way to do that is to acquire the AEW tag team title. Now, when you say something like that, that's like an insult to some other people. That includes, of course, none other than the Ass Boys. So it turns out that Ethan Page still has some issues to work out towards Matt Hardy. So Matt Hardy came up with this idea. How about you face them, and if they win, they get Ethan Page's contract. Jeff Hardy's not too keen on that, but, you know, basically this is the last time that he's going to do something like that. So it's like, it's time for the roles to reverse. Just like that. So we'll see. But, of course, the Ass Boys accepted it. But their true purpose is to ensure that the Hardys do not make their way to the AEW World Tag Team titles. That's their main call. Now, our main event features the Dark Order, Reynolds and Silver, along with Evil Uno taking on the Mogul Embassy, consistent of Shane Swerve Strickland and Brian Cage. Now, you probably can guess that this match, there was moments where, of course, Johnny Hungy and Brian Cage are going to do a little flexing and all that stuff. That's always been known for. But it was, of course, a drill claw by Cage to Reynolds that allowed them to win the match. However, as soon as Uno wanted to check up on Reynolds and Silver, he was viciously attacked from behind. The Mogul Embassy decided, to give them a beatdown, but here comes Natural Limitless, Keith Lee, and Dusty Rhodes with some weapons to teach them a lesson. We will see those two. We will see those two somewhere down the line to kick Swerve Strickland and his Mogul Embassy out of town. And I think that's it right now with AEW Rampage. I believe it's time to do day 2 of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Best of the Super Juniors. Okay, day 3 of the Best of the Super Juniors 30 by New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, those who are still trying to keep up what the Best of the Super Junior is, let me explain it. Best of the Super Juniors are wrestlers who are in the junior heavyweight division or cruiserweight or lightweight division, or wrestlers like Impact from the X division, stuff like that. So they take this every year, and every match are win by point-based system. If you win a match, you get 2 points. If you lose a match, it's 0 points. But if you reach the time limit draw, each wrestler gets a 1 point. Now, so far as we know, no time limit draws have taken place. But of course, there's 20 wrestlers that were divided in in 2 blocks, I believe, A block and B block. But I will reveal which block we're going to be doing. So let's get started. This one was recently on day 2 was on the 13th of May. We start out with the A block. We have TJP versus Kushida. Now, TJP, as you know, uh, right now he did not do so well in day 1, but Kushida, same thing. However, how is the difference going to be in this one? This was a very interesting one. Now, Kushida can actually put anybody in submission. I think TJP was expecting it. Sometimes there's matches like in matches where the unexpected happens for the opponent. So TJP applied a maneuver that's been helpful many times by many wrestlers, the inside cradle, which was very, very disappointing for Kushida. So this is not looking good for him. I mean, he is one of the best junior heavyweight competitors in New Japan. Now, we move into Block B. We have Dan Maloney taking on Yoshinobu Kanemaru. This was a very good, interesting matchup because Dan Maloney, who is the newest member of the United Empire, faces a member of Just Five Guys. So I didn't think how this was going to be. I mean, Dan Maloney did pick up a good win the previous day, and I think Kanemaru lost. Kanemaru did win the previous one, but how this was going to be, I wasn't too sure. But it was, of course, Kanemaru with the figure 4 that allowed him to pick up the win, and of course, Maloney so disappointed that he lost in this one. So basically, he didn't expect that one to come. Now back to the A block, we have Lio Rush taking on Ryusuke Taguchi. So I have to say this is a kind of calm, nothing too big in this particular match, but it was Lio Rush that walked away with the win when he applied the final aura on Taguchi. I think Taguchi hasn't picked up the win since day 1, but he hasn't picked up a win at all, but we'll see how that goes. Next match, we go back to the B block. We have Clark Connors taking on Robbie Eagles. I have to say this is a very interesting one. I mean, Clark Connors, he's a total beast in this particular match. You probably wouldn't think, but however, Robbie Eagles, not only he's an excellent high flyer, but he can actually pull up groundwork, especially submissions. Something that TJP has been very observant about. So somehow Clark Connors, decided to showboat a little bit. I mean, Ghetto was giving him instructions to do the no chaser, but he missed the opportunity. But it was Robbie Eagles that rolled him up and pinned him. 1, 2, 3. It was over. So basically, Clark Connors made a mistake. He should have listened to Ghetto what to do, but that's his own fault. Next up, we have back to the Block A. We have Show versus Mike Bailey, and once again, Show with his little shenanigans crap. Not to mention, effing Evil keeps getting in the way. I hate this guy, But one thing, it was clear that Show knows that Mike Bailey doesn't wear shoes, so he took that as an advantage in order to do that. But at some point, Mike Bailey got a little smarter. He knew that Evil was a problem, so he knew the moment that Show was on outside the ring and Evil was waiting for him, he took him out right away. And I don't think, but of course, when referee was out, apparently Evil got in, but Mike Bailey was able to overcome the odds when it comes to the House of Torture. He gave a really hard kick right in the face to Evil, and then later he did the same thing to Show. And finally, the Ultimate Weapon, putting him out, giving him the win with 2 points. Now back to the B block, we got Francesco Akira taking on Kevin Knight. Now keep in mind, these two are familiarized. Not to mention, I failed to mention with TJP and Kushida. Those guys know each other because they recently lost the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Now, there is the possibility they could get those titles back or ask for a match because, as you know, rule of thumb, if you pin one of the champions, you do get a title. But Kevin Knight had to deal with Francesco Cara, who's a bit more angry or aggressive, but it was, of course, Akira with the fireball that allowed him to win the match. So he's very satisfied that he won this one. Next up, we got the Bone Soldier, Taiji Shimori taking on Titan. Now, What I did like what TJP mentioned, Titan is someone he cannot figure out. I mean, he is the unknown wild card in this particular match. I mean, all the members of the LIJ are wild cards, but of course, Taiji Shimori, um, he's good at what he does, so he has his work cut out. But he was able to figure out how to put away Titan by applying the bone lock, which is like a crossface type submission. He tapped out just like that. So that's how it ends. Now we move on to the B block. We have Bushi versus El Desperado. Now these two guys are too familiarized with each other on opposite side of the ring. They have faced each other either in singles or in tags. So that kind of plays out pretty well. So you know they are gonna try to think what are gonna do. And I know that some of the moves like Dos and Pinche Loco is one of the main arsenals by um, Desperado. Bushi, I think he does the MX. I don't know if there's any other move, if anybody knows which one, but yeah. But it was very interesting that they were able to counter everything. But it was, of course, Despi with the Es el Clero, which is like a type of how to say, a crucifix slot or something similar like the Kishikatsu that Saki Kashima, something similar what that helped them win the match. So basically, he tried something else that possibly Bushi could not predict was going to happen. So that's a pretty good one. Now our next match, we have Doiki versus Hiromu Takahashi. Now we know these two have met before and they have counted each other, but I have to say Doiki is like the one wrestler that many fans are saying he could possibly go to the top. I mean, he is the one guy that hasn't picked up a championship win yet, and I think that's a good thing. But he has to face one of the best and one of the aces of this current generation of junior heavyweight competitors, Hiromu Takahashi. Now you know Hiromu's predictable. He will not stand down for whatever he does. So he was able to pick up the win by applying the time bomb, giving him the win. So that's pretty much it right there. Now our main event features Master Wato versus Yo. I thought this match was pretty good. Yo looks more like he's like a new version of John Cena in some capacity, but no. But Wato, we know he is talented. He hasn't picked up the singles title run just yet, but Yo, he is trying to get there. But he was able to pick up the win by applying the direct drive, giving him the W and 2 points. Now I will reveal in the next segment what's the current points going on from since the start. But right now let's move on to with day 3 on the day 3 of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Best of the Super Juniors 30. Okay, day 3 of the Best of the Super Juniors by New Japan Pro Wrestling. So let's get started on this one. This took place on the 14th, which is this Sunday. Now we start with the B block. We have Yoshinobu Kanemaru taking on Kevin Knight. Now this was a very interesting match because Yoshinobu Kanemaru, he is still one of those wrestlers that hasn't particularly succeeded to get the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Kevin Knight, who we all know is the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion with Kushida. We don't know, but I thought this match was okay until some point Kevin Knight applied the spike DDT onto Kanemaru to pick up his I think this is his first one. I'm not sure, but yeah. So it was a pretty good one. I think it was very interesting that he won this one. I'm sure many fans would have preferred Kanemaru to won this one, but that it is what it is. Now we go to the A block. We have Sho versus Ryusuke Taguchi. Now, Sho, I've always say he's full of crap every single time. He said he's going to try to play clean. He was wearing the Lions mark. But at some point, I knew he was going to lie. The lights turned off, and guess who showed up? That's right. Evil showed up, and the referee was out, all this and that. And then, of course, he applied the shock arrow to pick up his win. So, Kevin Kelly's right. These guys are not, they don't have they're not killers. They just like to cheat their way. But, I don't know. Sooner or later, there's no way. Sho, he hasn't even proceeded to try to get any ambitions for the junior heavyweight title, no matter what he did. But we'll see. This is Sho's first win in the tournament right now. He lost his first two. Now back to the B block, we have Clark Connors taking on Bushi. You probably would have presumed that Bushi would have won this one, but no, it did not go that way. As you know, Clark Connors, he's a wild rhino. He would definitely try to put away Bushi, and then he applied the move known as no chaser. 1, 2, 3, it is done right there. And I think he is 2-0 on this one, but we'll get to the points in a little bit for that. Next up, we have Taiji Ishimori taking on Doiki. This is the A block. Pretty good match, not to mention, but I feel like Taiji Ishimori has a much better experience in this one against Doiki, since he has competed in this tournament before, but it was of course the bone lock that had put away Doiki to give him the win on this one. Now Taiji Ishimori could be the possibility of those that could win the tournament, but we will see until we cross the bridge. Now our next match, we have Francisco Akira versus Robbie Eagles. Now Robbie Eagles already have 2 wins. Francisco Akira may have only 1-1 on this one, but I wasn't too sure how this was gonna turn out. I mean, Robbie Eagles, he's good in the ground, but unfortunately the match ended with, of course, Francisco Akira applying the fireball, giving him the win. So this is so we still got a long way to go with these two guys, so we'll see where we're gonna go. Now our next match we have for back in the A block, we have Titan taking on Kushida. I thought this match was pretty interesting, not to mention Titan, like TJP did mention, he is still someone you can't figure out. But Kushida, we know what he can do. He is one of the best junior heavyweight competitors in New Japan, and you figured he was going to put him in submission. No, it was Titan with the double stomp, or as he call it, the El Ángel Inmortal. Boom, put him away once and for all, giving him his second win. I think he is 2-1 on this one. Now we go back to the B block. We have Dan Maloney versus Yo. This is a very interesting one. Dan Maloney versus Yo. I wasn't too sure much about it. I mean, Dan Maloney seems like he is a straight up killer that he would definitely try to pick up a win. Yo, who is very talented, we know that he can pick up a good win when he needs to kick in that instinct that he's supposed to be king. But however, it was of course Dan Maloney with the Driller Killer that gave him the win and finally get this one. So I think right now he is 2-1 on this one. Now back to A block, we have TJP versus Mike Bailey. Now TJP has observed Mike Bailey on day 2 what he can do. The one thing he needed to keep an eye out was the Ultima Weapon. However, that didn't do any well for him because, as you know, many wrestlers could say, I got plenty more in my arsenal. Like, you can have like 10,000 moves that could work in your favor. Unlike wrestlers that say, like, of course, Dean Malenko, 1,000 holds. But there was one move that, of course, that no one has seen yet, and that is, of course, the flamenco driver. That was one more move that he needed to apply, and of course Mike Bailey was able to turn that and make it into reality. And I don't think Kevin Kelly has ever seen the flamenco driver, and it was done just like that. So right now Mike Bailey is currently undefeated in this one. Now he most likely could be the potential competitors that make it all the way to the finals, but we'll see until we get to the point system. Next match, we have El Desperado versus Master Wato. Now, this is another good match I definitely enjoy. Now, Wato, he's an incredible wrestler, but however, he lacks, how to use his arsenal in some capacity when he needs to. Now, El Desperado, he is one of the aces of the junior heavyweight division. He'll probably use whatever he can have in order to pick up the win, but he was able to do that when he applied El Pinche Loco and giving himself the win. I think this is his first win right now. I think he lost. No, second win so far. So he's 2-1. We'll get to that in a bit. Now we go to our main event, which is a very interesting one. These guys have faced each other before. About a couple of months ago, we have Lio Rush versus Hiromu. Now, the last time these two faced each other, this is for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. However, how different can this be from from the last time? Well, I'm sure Lio Rush is a student of the game. He probably will figure out what exactly Hiromu was made out. But however, he did apply the final hour to giving him the win. Now, Lio Rush seems like the most likely candidate as well to pick up to win his match. So we'll talk about that. So let's get to the point-based system right now and reveal how's everybody been doing in here. Pull it up on my phone a bit, guys, because I know I saved it. Okay, so this is what we got for the A block. Kushida has 0 points, so that means he has no wins. Same thing with Ryusuke Taguchi. Lio Rush has 6 points. That means he is currently undefeated. Most likely could win. Doiki only has 2 points with 2 losses and 1 win. And that win, it was against Kushida. Same thing with Hiromu Takahashi. He only has 1 win over Doiki, so he has 1 win and 2 losses. Titan only has 4 points with 2 wins and 1 loss. That loss was against Ishimori. TJP, he only has 2 points with 1 win and 1 loss. That win was against Kushida. Taiji Shimori, he is currently 6 points with undefeated. Sho, he only has 1 win and 2 losses with 2 points. And then finally, Mike Bailey, as much like Lio Rush and Ishimori, undefeated as well with 6 points. Now let's look at the B block. Let's see what we have. El Desperado only has 4 points with 2 wins and 1 loss. Yo with only 1 win and 2 losses. Master Wato, 1 win and 2 losses. That's 2 points. Kevin Knight with 2 points with 1 win and 2 losses. Yoshinobu Kanemaru with 2 wins and 1 losses, 4 points. Bushi, he has 0 points, no wins so far. Robbie Eagles with 2 wins and 1 loss, 4 points. The same thing with Francisco Cara, Dan Maloney, and Clark Connors. Now, nobody here is in the lead in B block. Now, if we compare A block, there's only 3 wrestlers are currently in the lead with 6 points. That is Lio Rush, Taiji Shimori, and Mike Bailey. So those 3 are currently in the lead in the tournament. However, we have Desperado, Kanemaru, Eagles, Akira, Maloney, and Clark. They all have 4 points. So no one in this block are currently at the top lead at 4. They haven't reached 6 points yet. So we'll see what happens when we return back with Best of the Super Juniors. But right now, let's move forward with our last review, ChocoPro 311. Okay, ChocoPro 311 started out with a 3-way match. We have Sayaka Obihiro versus Shin Suzuki versus Masahiro Takanashi. Now, if you guys ever pay attention closely with of the ChocoPro shows, Shin Suzuki's favorite wrestler has always been Masahiro Takanashi. Now, you probably say, why is he facing him? Well, it looks more... Masa appreciates him being a fan. But for Masa, he wants him to learn, look, I get you're a fan, but you need to learn, don't meet your heroes at all. So basically he's trying to teach him a bit of not like a harsh lesson, but more like a reality lesson. But Shin's always been trying to prove that he can try to surpass them. But one thing that he needs to know, he is not facing Masa. He's facing 2 other competitors in the same match. And not only Masa, but also Obihiro. So he had to focus on that. However, the idea is, how do you win this match? You try to separate one competitor so they won't break up. So that's been going on entire match. But luckily, Shin Suzuki was able to do that by doing an enziguri onto Masa to get him out of the building through the window, but putting like a somewhat of a backslide onto Obiero to pick up the win. So I think Masa really liked what he saw, but may have that look on his face like, don't get it twisted. That doesn't change how I feel about you. So I'm not sure, but basically we'll see what happens down the line between those two. Now our next match, we have Antonio Honda teaming with Balinaki to take on Ender Kara and of course our current Super Asia champion Hagane Shino. Now Hagane Shino and Balinaki hasn't seen each other for many months, ever since Hagane defeated Balian for that title. However, this is going to be a different one. Now, keep in mind, Honda always has tricks up his sleeves that would help him win. Now, Balian may not agree to them, but he does find it hilarious when they are applied at other people. But usually when it comes to Honda, he plays his little guitar, do a little song. It did not work with Kara at all whatsoever. He was not amused by it one way or the other. But unfortunately, it was Shino who pinned Honda in order to pick up the match. But we'll get to that in a bit more about Hagane and Balinaki a little later. But our main event, we feature Miya Yotsuba and Tokiko Kirihara taking on Too Much Energy, Chiko Shikawa, and the Big Apple, Mei Shruga. Now, keep in mind, Mei Shruga is mentored to Miya. So basically, we'll see what they took place. Now, you probably can guess that Miya will try to surpass her mentor, Mei Shruga. But, there's no way, because Mei Shruga is well trained by none other than Emi Sakura. So that would lead to many ways to ensure that Miya tried to pick up the win. But no, Mei Shruga was able to apply a pinfall thanks to Chiko Shikawa when she applied a somewhat of a crucifix, and then of course applied the jackknife to pick up the good win. Now for our Jonkin tournament, I can assure you guys that Balinaki did not make it through, and Nakara has no clue how to play Jonkin. It's like rock, paper, scissors, but in a different way. So he was out. Masahiro Takanashi made it to the semifinals, but lost. But I didn't know Miya didn't make it through. But the one person that made it all the way through for the chocolate was none other than Mei Shruga. So it's great that she do that. Now later it was Balinaki did announce that he would like to have a rematch against Hagane Shino for the title, but it seems Hagane has other plans. Now he did not specify what they are, but we'll see what happens then. And I think that's pretty much it right now with ChocoPro. So I believe it's time to move on with news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. So this is what we have for everyone. For our GCW updates, for the lifestyle event taking place on the 26th of May, Billy Stark has been announced to participate. Now, no opponent has been decided just yet. But, however, a match has been announced for that particular day, and it's going to be Maki Ito taking on Sandra Moon. So that's going to be very interesting. Now, as you know, we already have the Tournament of Survival 8 taking place. So it's going to take place on the 16th. However, there already been announced for certain. Now let me pull up here for a bit. I have a list of wrestlers' names. They already announced who will be participating. So far, they only need 12 competitors. They only so far have 9. So this is the 9 they have: Rina Yamashita, Hirata, Sugiura, Joey Janela, Sawyer Wreck, Casey Kurt, John Wayne Murdoch, Cyclopse, and Matt Tremont. So there's 3 more unaccounted for, so It's only a matter of time until they announce the final 3. Now, for our Cage of Survival 2 on the 4th of June, they announced that Maki Ito will be participating. So this is going to be an interesting development. Now, for Prestige Wrestling, for 2 events coming from them, for the Black Sunshine that takes place on the 18th, it was announced Kid Bandit will be in action to take on Alan Angels. You may know him as 5. And of course, for the All Rise event on the 23rd of July, Alex Shelley returns and he defends the Prestige Championship Wrestling. So he'll be defending that title. Now, DEFY has announced for very interesting news coming up in October, which we have a few months away. For the Primo Lucha, we're going to have luchadors coming their way through. Announced for Juventud Guerrera, Hijo de Vikingo, and of course, someone you all know, Ultimo Dragon. This is going to take place at the Yakima Valley Sundome. I don't know where that is. If you guys are from the Seattle area, if you guys know where that is, just tell me. Moving on. Spark, Joshi Puroresu of America has announced for the Ignite East on the 11th of June, Rachel Ellering will be making her appearance there. So if you guys are from the New York area, New Jersey, then you guys are in luck for this one. Now, Wrestling Revolver is announced for the Ring of Destiny on the 17th of June. Alex Colon will be making his return after 6 months of a hiatus. No, I don't know if I don't know who will be facing him, but it's going to be great to see him again. It's been a while since we've seen him. Now, for our West Coast Pro updates here, for Cruel Summers, then on the 8th of July, Block Taurus will be making his way there. Now, I failed to mention this on the ChocoPro event, but Mei Suga announced for Gatoh Move to have their next big event for Mei Suga's 5th anniversary on the 29th of May. So basically, this will be her 5th anniversary as a pro wrestler, and she picked out a very interesting opponent. Her opponent is none other than the Supernova Miya Amasaki from Stardom. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be the main event. So if you guys are Amasaki fans, you guys got to go check out ChocoPro now. They will put this on YouTube, but it won't be right away. We'll just see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated on that. Now, finally, our last update here. Now, as you know, I've talked about Chanyota many times on her, due to what happened to her when some sponsors from Germany were trying to ban her from Stardom due to her outside work. Recently, some interesting developments have come around. Chanyota has announced that after her event of the 16th of May event, she will be taking a 3-month hiatus. Now, none of the specifics are been said why she's doing it. It's still unclear what was the purpose of her taking a break, but I hope she comes back new and refreshed. We just recently saw her on New Blood 8 teaming with Mei Sakurai, but other than that, we'll just see. If there's anything else, she says she's only taking a break from pro wrestling. Everything else, like modeling shoots and all that, will be okay. But from pro wrestling, she's taking a break. But she is still under the PPP Tokyo banner, so they already made that perfectly clear. So if there's any new updates come in, there will be a show coming up on Tuesday on the 16th of May. The party, she will be in a tag match, I believe. Don't remember who she will be teaming with, but it's going to be a good one. So I think that's pretty much it. So I think it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Well, before I proceed anything else, I haven't decided what I'm going to do since there's no Dark Elevation, but I'll try to wing it for everybody. I haven't decided. I know I haven't seen some of the recent GCW events that took place, but I'll get to those as soon as possible. But we'll see what happens. But as for me, with this health thing that I'm going through, I'll be okay. I'll keep you guys updated if there's anything happening, because I don't want anybody to worry too much about me. like I said, my health is my number one priority. So we'll just see what happens then. So I just keep the faith and pray to the good Lord that I'll be okay from there. But until then, I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.